Elise Warrick glides into Crystal Heights Mall's sparkling boutique, her tailored suit shimmering under chandeliers. She lifts a diamond necklace, admiring its glow, when Carl Dempsey, a burly security guard, snarls, "Thief!" Gripping her arm, he drags her across polished marble, shoppers whispering slurs. Phones record, videos spreading like wildfire. In the mall's office, Elise, calm, reveals she's a billionaire and buys the mall, firing Dempsey. Her phone buzzes. "You'll regret this. Who's threatening her now? Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from. If you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe for more gripping stories." Elise Warrick strides through Crystal Heights Mall, her heels clicking on gleaming marble, sunlight streaming through towering glass domes, casting rainbows across her path. The air buzzes with excitement as she unveils her vision, transforming the mall into a haven for minority-owned businesses, with vibrant storefronts showcasing Black designers, Latino bakers, and Asian jewelers. Shoppers flock in, their laughter echoing off polished walls, drawn by pop-up stalls offering braided hairstyles and spicy empanadas. Elise's heart swells. This is her defiance against the humiliation Carl Dempsey inflicted, her proof that she belongs. She meets with contractors in a sleek office overlooking the atrium, sketching plans for a community art gallery to amplify local voices. By noon, the mall's revenue spikes and local news vans park outside, reporters clamoring for interviews. Elise smiles, thinking of the families who'll thrive here, their dreams no longer crushed by prejudice. But as she scrolls through her phone, a notification chills her blood. A viral video titled, "Billionaire Thug Steals Mall." Her stomach twists as she taps play. The footage, grainy but damning, shows her in the boutique, seemingly shoving Dempsey and snatching the necklace, her face twisted in anger. The comments explode with venom. "She's a criminal. Send her back." Racial slurs flood the screen, each one a dagger. Elise's hands shake. She knows this isn't real. She was the one dragged, her arm bruised for days. Leonard Hargrove, the mall's former owner, a silver-haired tycoon with a grip on the city's elite, must be behind this. She remembers his cold stare when she signed the ownership papers, his whispered promise to take it all back. Hargrove's media connections run deep, his influence woven into every newsroom and boardroom. Elise calls her tech team, a trio of coders she mentored from a local community college, and they confirm the video's been doctored, pixel by pixel, to paint her as the aggressor. She feels the weight of 1,000 eyes, the city turning against her. By evening, protesters mass outside the mall, their signs scrawled with hate. "No thieves here. Go home." A bottle shatters against a glass door, the crash reverberating through the atrium. Shoppers scatter, vendors clutch their wares, and Elise's security team, led by a stoic veteran named Malik, urges her to stay inside, but she refuses to hide. She steps onto a balcony overlooking the crowd, her voice steady through a megaphone declaring, "This mall is for everyone." The protesters jeer, their slurs cutting deeper than the broken glass. Elise's throat tightens, but she pushes on, her resolve forged in years of fighting bias in boardrooms. She streams a live rebuttal from her office, her coders displaying the original boutique footage beside Hargrove's fake, highlighting every altered frame. The real video shows Dempsey's grip, her stumble, the necklace untouched. Her followers rally, hashtags like "Justice for Elise" trending, and the crowd thins as some protesters slink away, shamed by the truth. Elise exhales, thinking she's turned the tide. She meets with vendors, promising stronger security, and their gratitude warms her. But as she leaves the mall at midnight, her driver, a quiet man named Javier, hands her a tablet with a breaking news alert. The city council, led by Hargrove's ally, Councilwoman Patricia Klein, has scheduled an emergency meeting to revoke the mall's operating permits, citing public safety concerns from the protests. Elise's pulse races. Without permits, her businesses will collapse, her vendors ruined. She recalls Klein's campaign, funded by Hargrove's donations, and realizes this is his next move. The doctored video was just the opening salvo, a spark to ignite public fury and justify the council's attack. Elise drives through the city, streetlights blurring past, her mind racing. She pulls into her penthouse garage, the skyline glittering. Beyond, but the anonymous text from yesterday, "You'll regret this," loops in her head. Hargrove's not just fighting for the mall, he's waging war on her existence, leveraging every racist trope to erase her power. She opens her laptop, drafting a legal challenge to the council, her fingers flying over the keys. Malik calls, warning that plainclothes men are circling the mall, snapping photos. Elise's chest tightens. She's not just fighting a smear campaign, but a coordinated assault. She messages her coders, tasking them to trace the fake videos. Source, hoping to expose Hargrove's hand. As dawn breaks, she stands at her window, the city waking below, and vows to protect her mall. But the council meeting looms in 2 days, and Hargrove's influence runs deeper than she feared. She's disproved his lies, but at what cost? The protesters' slurs echo in her mind, their hate fueled by a system that sees her wealth as a threat. Elise grips her coffee mug, its warmth grounding her, and prepares for the next battle, unaware that Hargrove's already plotting a strike she won't see coming. Her victory feels hollow, the mall's lights dimming under the shadow of a city turning against her, and she wonders if truth alone can outrun the lies piling up faster than she can fight. Elise Warrick paces her penthouse, the city skyline a jagged silhouette against the dawn, her coffee cold as she replays the council's threat to strip her mall's permits. The viral smear, those hateful slurs, and Hargrove's shadow loom, large but she refuses to break. Her coders trace the fake video to a shell company, likely Hargrove's, and she needs legal muscle to fight back. She dials Vanessa Reed, a high-profile lawyer with a reputation for dismantling corporate giants, her name whispered in elite circles. Vanessa's voice is warm, promising to sue Hargrove for defamation, her confidence a lifeline. Elise feels a flicker of hope, imagining Hargrove's empire crumbling under courtroom scrutiny. They agree to meet at a downtown law firm, but Vanessa insists on a discreet handoff of evidence in a parking lot nearby, citing paparazzi. Elise hesitates, her gut twisting, but Vanessa's credentials check out, her awards plastered across, legal journals. She grabs a USB drive with the coder's analysis, the doctored video's metadata, and drives through rain-slicked streets, wipers thumping like her pulse. The parking lot, tucked behind a shuttered warehouse, is a concrete maze. Sodium lights flickering in the drizzle. Elise parks, her headlights cutting through mist, and spots Vanessa's sleek sedan. But as she steps out, Vanessa's car peels away, tires screeching. 4 thugs emerge from the shadows, their boots crunching gravel, faces obscured by hoods. "You should have stayed quiet," one growls, his voice thick with menace, a racial slur spitting from his lips. Elise's heart slams against her ribs. This is Hargrove's doing. She clutches the USB, sprinting toward a rusted stairwell, but a thug grabs her jacket, yanking her back. She twists, slamming her elbow into his jaw, adrenaline surging. The others close in, one smashing her phone, its screen splintering like her trust. Elise ducks a swinging fist, scrambling under a parked van, her knees scraping asphalt. She hears their curses, feels the air shift as they search. A burner phone slips from a thug's pocket, landing inches from her. She snatches it, crawling to a dumpster, its stench masking her gasps. The phone screen glows with a text. Hargrove says silence her tonight. Elise's blood runs cold. Vanessa was a trap, a pawn in Hargrove's game. She bolts, weaving through alleys, the thug's footsteps fading. Her lungs burn, rain soaking her suit, but she clutches the phone. It's evidence, her only weapon. She reaches a neon-lit diner, slipping inside, the clink of dishes grounding her. The waitress, an older black woman with kind eyes, offers her a towel, no questions asked. Elise checks the phone, finding more texts detailing Hargrove's orders to bury the mall deal. Her mind races. Vanessa's betrayal means no one's safe. She thinks of her sister Maya, her mother Clara, their faces flashing as targets in Hargrove's crosshairs. The council meeting is tomorrow, and without permits, her vendors, those small businesses she swore to protect, will lose everything. Elise's fingers tremble as she forwards the text to her coders, praying they can trace Hargrove's network. She sips bitter coffee, the diner's warmth a fleeting shield, and recalls her first tech startup, when investors sneered at her, pitch, their eyes dismissing her before she spoke. She fought then, and she'll fight now. But Hargrove's reach feels infinite, his racism a machine grinding her down. She steps outside, the rain colder now, and hails a cab, directing it to a safe house her security chief Malik set up. The driver's radio blares news of the mall protests, callers spewing hate, and Elise realizes the city's turning faster than she can counter. At the safe house, a cramped apartment above a laundromat, she boots up a laptop, the hum of dryers below, steadying her. The coders confirm the burner phone's texts linked to Hargrove's private server, but hacking it risks exposure. Elise weighs her options: go public and face more smears, or dig deeper and risk her life. She chooses the latter, her jaw set, knowing Hargrove's already planning his next strike. The safe house walls close in, shadows dancing as she works, her trust shattered. Vanessa's smile haunts her, a reminder that allies can turn, that racism hides in polished suits as much as in hooded thugs. Elise's eyes burn, but she pushes on, the burner phone her only lead. She messages Malik, tightening security at the mall, and checks on Maya, who's safe but shaken. The council's threat, Hargrove's ambush, the slurs, they're all connected, a web spun to trap her. Elise leans back, the laptop's glow harsh, and vows to expose Hargrove, no matter the cost. But as she plans, a creak outside the door snaps her alert. Is someone watching, or is paranoia winning? She grips the phone, its secret's her lifeline, and wonders who she can trust when the city itself seems to want her gone. Drop a comment with number 1 if you've ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, and hit like and subscribe to follow Elise's fight for justice. Can she turn Hargrove's own weapon against him, or will his next move crush her for good? Elise Warrick huddles in the safe house, the laundromat's rhythmic hum below barely drowning out her racing thoughts, the burner phone's glow illuminating Hargrove's chilling order. Silence her tonight. Her coders, working through encrypted channels, confirm the text traced to Leonard Hargrove's private server, a fortress of digital secrets. Elise's jaw tightens. She's done hiding. She uploads the text to a local news outlet, the City Pulse, attaching metadata proving their authenticity, her fingers trembling with defiance. By morning, the story breaks, headlines screaming tycoons plot to crush mall owner, and the city erupts. Protesters flood downtown, their chants echoing through steel canyons, demanding Hargrove's arrest. Elise seizes the momentum, organizing a rally at Crystal Heights Mall, envisioning thousands united against racism. She coordinates with vendors, their faces lit with hope, and Malik's security team fortifies the atrium, glass walls gleaming under noon sun. Banners unfurl, proclaiming equality now, while drummers pound rhythms that pulse through the crowd. Elise steps onto a makeshift stage, her voice booming through speakers, recounting her humiliation, the doctored video, the ambush. "This mall is ours," she declares, and cheers shake the chandeliers. Social media buzzes, live streams capturing every word, her hashtag #WinStandWithElise trending globally. She spots Maya in the crowd, her sister's smile a rare warmth, and feels invincible. But as the rally peaks, a ripple of chaos spreads. Men in dark jackets, faces half covered, shove through, shouting slurs and toppling vendor stalls. Glass shatters, jewelry scattering like stars on marble. Elise's stomach drops. These aren't protesters but Hargrove's paid agitators, turning her unity into a battlefield. Smoke rises, acrid and thick, as tear gas canisters hiss, fired by riot police swarming the entrances. The crowd scatters, screams piercing the air, and Elise leaps from the stage, pulling a vendor's child from the crush. Malik radios her, his voice urgent. "Police are arresting our people." She sees her allies, shop owners who trusted her, cuffed and dragged away, their eyes wide with fear. Elise's chest burns, not from gas but rage. Hargrove's turned, her stand into a trap. She sprints toward a service corridor, Malik guiding her through an earpiece, his calm a lifeline. The tunnel's damp concrete swallows her footsteps, pipes dripping as she navigates by flashlight, the chaos fading behind. She emerges in a backlot, coughing, her suit smeared with grime, and flags down a cab, its driver eyeing her warily. As she sinks into the seat, her phone, a backup she'd stashed, buzzes with a news alert. Mall rally turns violent, sister of owner charged. Elise's heart stops. Maya's been framed for inciting the riot, her mugshot plastered across screens. A false narrative spun by Hargrove's media puppets. The article quotes Councilwoman Klein, Hargrove's ally, condemning criminal elements. At the mall, her words dripping with coded racism. Elise grips the phone, her knuckles whitening, recalling Maya's dream of opening a bookstore, now crushed by lies. She directs the cab to a friend's apartment, a low-rent complex far from the mall's glitter, where she can regroup. The driver's radio blares callers vilifying her, their slurs echoing the protesters' hate, and Elise feels the city's weight pressing down. Hargrove's not just targeting her but her family, weaponizing the system to break her. She thinks of the rally's hope, now ashes, and the vendor's trust betrayed by this chaos. At the apartment, she slips inside, the scent of curry lingering from a neighbor's kitchen. Her friend, a nurse named Tasha, offers tea, her silence a comfort. Elise checks encrypted messages from her coders, who've cracked more of Hargrove's server, revealing payments to the agitators funneled through Klein's campaign. The evidence is gold, but going public risks Maya's safety, with police already circling. Elise paces, the apartment's worn carpet grounding her, and recalls her first court case, when a judge dismissed her evidence with a smirk, assuming her guilt. She fought then, outsmarting bias with proof, and she'll fight now. She drafts a plan to expose the payments, her laptop's keys clicking furiously. But Malik warns of unmarked cars near the mall, likely Hargrove's men. The safe house breach, Vanessa's betrayal, and now Maya's arrest form a tightening noose, each move more vicious than the last. Elise's eyes sting, not from tear gas but exhaustion, yet she refuses to yield. She texts Tasha's burner phone, arranging a meet with a journalist who might run the story clean. The rally's failure gnaws at her. The child's terrified face burned into her mind, but she channels it into resolve. Hargrove's agitators turned her stage into a war zone, and Maya's framing is his checkmate, a personal blow to force her surrender. Elise sips tea, its warmth steadying her, and stares at the city beyond, its lights mocking her. The council meeting is hours away, and without permits, her mall dies. She clutches the burner phone's data, her only edge, and wonders if truth can outpace Hargrove's lies. A knock at the door jolts her, Tasha's warning glance sharp. Is it a friend, or has Hargrove found her again? Elise Warrick slumps in Tasha's apartment, the curry-scented air heavy, her sister Maya's mugshot burning in her mind, a false charge of riot incitement orchestrated by Leonard Hargrove's media machine. The burner phone's data, a lifeline, hums with promise as her coders decrypt more of Hargrove's server, uncovering emails tying his agitators to Councilwoman Klein's payroll. Elise, fueled by fury, leaks these to the city pulse, her fingers trembling as she hits send, knowing this could free Maya. Dawn breaks, and the news explodes. Headlines blaring, Hargrove's corruption exposed, detailing payments to disrupt her rally. Social media ignites, hashtags like #OnFreeMaya surging, and by noon, Hargrove's corporate board suspends him pending investigation, his stock plummeting. Elise's heart lifts. This is her first real blow against him. She visits Maya at the yacht precinct, where a judge pressured by public outcry grants bail. Though Maya's eyes are hollow, her bookstore dream dimmed. Elise vows to make it right, channeling her energy into a gala to relaunch Crystal Heights Mall, a bold move to cement her vision. She rents a grand ballroom, its crystal chandeliers casting prisms across velvet drapes, and invites the city's elite philanthropists, tech moguls, even skeptical council members. Vendors set up dazzling displays, Black artisans showcasing hand-carved sculptures, Latino chefs offering sizzling tapas. Elise glides through in a sapphire gown, her smile masking exhaustion, shaking hands with investors who now see her as a force. The mayor, wary but present, praises her resilience, and a tech billionaire pledges $10 million to her minority business fund. Camera flashes blind her, live streams broadcasting her triumph to millions, and Elise feels the tide turning. She toasts the crowd, her voice steady, recounting the mall's journey from humiliation to hope, subtly jabbing at Hargrove's lies. The applause is thunderous, vendors beaming, and Malik, stationed at the entrance, gives her a rare nod. Elise sips champagne, its bubbles sharp, and lets herself believe she's winning. Maya at her side squeezes her hand, a flicker of her old spark returning. But as Elise steps to the podium for her closing speech, the ballroom doors burst open, and FBI agents in dark suits storm in, their badges glinting under the lights. "Elise Warrick, you're under arrest for tax fraud," one barks, cuffs clicking as the crowd gasps. Elise freezes, her gown suddenly heavy, the champagne glass slipping from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. Cameras pivot, capturing her stunned face, the live stream now a nightmare. The lead agent waves a document, claiming it proves she funneled mall profits to offshore accounts, a lie so blatant it stinks of Hargrove. She's marched through the ballroom, investors whispering, the mayor averting his eyes. Outside, news, vans swarm, and Hargrove's face fills their screens, his silver hair pristine as he calls her a criminal mastermind who fooled us all. The words cut deeper than the cuffs, his smug tone dripping with racial venom, painting her as a scheming outsider. Elise's mind races. She filed every tax form meticulously, her accountants triple-checking. This is a forgery, planted to crush her victory. The agents shove her into a van, its interior cold and sterile, and she catches Maya's horrified face through the window, her sister's freedom now meaningless. The precinct's fluorescent lights buzz as Elise is booked, her fingerprints smudging ink, her sapphire gown swapped for a gray jumpsuit. She sits in a holding cell, the concrete bench icy, and recalls her first startup pitch, when a white investor laughed, saying, "You don't look like a CEO." She proved him wrong, building a billion-dollar empire. But Hargrove's system sees her wealth as a crime. The forged document, she realizes, must have been slipped into public records, leveraging her race to make the lie believable. She thinks of the gala's promise, the vendor's trust, now shattered by her public downfall. Malik texts her lawyer, a new one untainted by Vanessa's betrayal. But the council meeting looms, and without permits, the mall's done. Elise's coders, still digging, find traces of Hargrove's fixer, a ghost who plants evidence for cash, but exposing him requires time she doesn't have. The cell's silence is suffocating, broken only by a guard's taunt. "Thought you were untouchable, huh?" The slur in his tone is familiar, echoing Dempsey's sneer, the protesters' hate. Elise grips the bench, her nails digging in, and replays the gala. The chandeliers, the applause, her fleeting belief in victory. Hargrove's move was surgical, turning her triumph into a spectacle of shame, the FBI his perfect tool. She thinks of Maya, Tasha, the vendors, their dreams tied to her fight, and refuses to break. Her lawyer arrives, a sharp woman named Priya, promising to challenge the charges, but the evidence is airtight, forged with precision. Elise whispers the fixer's name, urging Priya to dig, her voice steady despite the cell's chill. The news plays on a precinct TV, Hargrove's interview looping, his lies cementing her guilt in the public's eyes. Elise's chest tightens, the weight of a city's judgment crushing her, but she clings to the burner phone's secrets, buried in her safe house. Hargrove's empire is cracking, but his counterattack has left her caged, her allies scattered, the mall's future fading. She leans against the wall, its roughness grounding her, and vows to fight, even as the guard's keys jangle, signaling another interrogation. The gala's lights seem a lifetime ago, and Elise wonders if she misjudged Hargrove's cruelty, his ability to twist justice itself against her. Elise Warrick sits in the precinct's frigid holding cell, the concrete biting through her jumpsuit, the guard's taunt echoing as Hargrove's TV interview loops, branding her a criminal mastermind. The gala's chandeliers feel like a fever dream, her arrest a meticulously forged lie, and Maya's freedom hangs by a thread. Priya, her lawyer, whispers through the bars, promising to hunt for Hargrove's fixer, but the clock ticks toward the council meeting, where her mall's permits will die. A new detainee, A wiry man with a scarred knuckle is shoved into the adjacent cell, his eyes sharp despite the bruises. He introduces himself as Jamal, a hacker busted for exposing corporate fraud, and recognizes Elise from the news. "Hargrove's got you good," he mutters, but his grin hints at defiance. Over stale coffee smuggled by a sympathetic guard, Jamal reveals he's cracked Hargrove's offshore accounts, millions funneled to fund racist policies, like voter suppression in black neighborhoods. Elise's pulse quickens. This could bury Hargrove. Jamal's got a plan. A guard named Rico, bribbable with a sob story, leaves his keys dangling during night rounds. Elise hesitates, the cell's walls closing in, but Maya's hollow eyes and the vendor's trust push her forward. At midnight, the precinct hums with snores, and Rico's keys jangle. Elise, heart pounding, feigns a cough, drawing him close, while Jamal swipes the keys, their movements silent as shadows. They slip through a service door, the air thick with bleach and dodge security cameras, Elise's jumpsuit snagging on a rusted pipe. Outside, the city pulses, neon signs casting a sickly glow over asphalt. They sprint toward a market district, its stalls alive with late-night vendors hawking grilled skewers and knockoff watches. But as they weave through the crowd, a black SUV screeches to a halt, disgorging Hargrove's mercenaries, their tactical vests marked with no insignia. "There!" one shouts, spotting Elise, his voice laced with a slur that twists her gut. The market erupts, shoppers scattering as gunfire cracks, a fruit stall splintering, mangoes bursting like blood. Elise grabs Jamal, diving behind a fish cart, its ice stinging her hands. The mercenaries fan out, their boots thumping, and Elise's breath catches. Hargrove's reach is a vice. She spots a narrow alley, its walls slick with graffiti, and pulls Jamal, their footsteps splashing through puddles. A mercenary lunges, grazing Elise's arm with a knife, the pain sharp but fleeting. She kicks a trash can, slowing him, and they duck into a crowded bar, its jukebox blaring blues. The bartender, a grizzled woman with a nose ring, nods them toward a back exit, no questions asked. But as they reach the door, Jamal trips, his ankle twisting, and the mercenaries close in, their radios crackling with Hargrove's orders. "Take her alive." Elise pulls Jamal up, her muscles screaming, but a mercenary grabs him, wrenching him back. "Run!" Jamal yells, shoving a USB drive into her hand, its data the key to Hargrove's accounts. Elise hesitates, her loyalty warring with survival, but Jamal's eyes beg her to go. She bolts, tears blurring the alley's neon, the USB cutting into her palm. She slips into a subway station, its tiles grimy, and blends with commuters, her jumpsuit hidden under a stolen jacket. Her phone, stashed at Tasha's, buzzes with a news alert. Hargrove's broadcasting live, Jamal's battered face on screen, blood trickling from his brow. "Elise Warrick, surrender or he dies," Hargrove sneers, his silver hair gleaming, the racial undertone in "your kind" chilling her. The commuters gape, whispering her name, and Elise feels the city's eyes again, judging, hating. She clutches the USB, its weight a promise and a curse, knowing surrender means losing everything. The mall, Maya, her fight. The subway rumbles, its lights flickering, and she recalls her first hackathon, outcoding smug rivals who assumed she'd fail. She didn't then, and she won't now. She texts Tasha from a burner, arranging a drop-off for the USB, her coders, ready to decrypt it. The market chase replays, the slur, the gunfire, Jamal's sacrifice, each a reminder of Hargrove's cruelty, his system rigged to crush her. She steps off the train, the platform's hum grounding her, and heads to a safe house, a boarded-up bookstore Maya once loved. The council meeting is hours away, and Maya's charges linger, a noose tightening. Elise's arm throbs, the knife wound shallow but stinging, and she bandages it with a torn shirt, her resolve hardening. Hargrove's broadcast was a power play, turning her escape into a public manhunt, the racism in his words fueling the city's hate. She thinks of the vendors, their stalls shattered at the rally, and Jamal, beaten for her cause. The USB's data could expose Hargrove's policies, but publishing it risks Jamal's life, a moral trap she can't escape. She boots a laptop, its screen casting a pale glow, and checks encrypted messages, her coders urging caution. Malik reports mercenaries circling the mall, their presence a taunt. Elise's chest aches, the weight of betrayal from Vanessa to this, crushing her. She plans to meet Tasha, but a distant siren wails, and she wonders if Hargrove's men are closer than she thinks. The bookstore's dusty shelves hold Maya's dream, and Elise vows to save her, Jamal, the mall, no matter the cost. Drop a comment with number 1 if you've ever had to make the impossible choice to protect someone you care about, and hit like and subscribe to see Elise's next move. Will she risk everything to save Jamal, or is Hargrove's trap already closing around her? Elise Warrick crouches in the bookstore safe house, its musty shelves a faint echo of Maya's dream. The USB drive from Jamal burning in her pocket as Hargrove's broadcast of his beating replays in her mind, his bloodied face a taunt to surrender. The council meeting looms, her mall's permits on the chopping block, and Maya's charges, Clara's safety, and Jamal's life hang in the balance. Her coders, holed up in a secret server room, decrypt the USB, revealing Hargrove's offshore accounts, millions siphoned to fund voter suppression and redlining in black communities, each transaction a dagger of systemic racism. Elise's chest tightens. This is the weapon to end him, but publishing it risks Jamal's execution. She weighs the cost, her breath shallow, and recalls her mother's voice, urging her to fight when college rejections piled up, citing fit over her perfect grades. She chooses action, contacting a rogue journalist, Lila, who can hack a TV station's feed. They meet in a graffiti-streaked underpass, the city's pulse vibrating through concrete. Lila's laptop glowing as she outlines the plan. Hijack Channel 9's evening broadcast, airing the account details to millions. Elise nods, her resolve. Steal, and they slip into a maintenance hub beneath the station, its humming cables a labyrinth of opportunity. Lila's fingers fly, bypassing firewalls, while Elise guards the door, her stolen jacket reeking of subway grime. The hack succeeds, and at 6 o'clock screens across the city flicker, Hargrove's financial crimes scrolling in bold. Elise's voiceover detailing his racist policies, her tone fierce but measured. The nation erupts, protests swelling from coast to coast, hashtags like Hargrove exposed trending as rioters torch his billboards downtown. Elise watches from a burner phone, the safe house's dim bulb flickering, her heart racing with fragile hope. The city paralyzes, cars honking in gridlock, and Hargrove's allies, from Klein to corporate cronies, scramble to distance themselves, their statements hollow. Elise texts Tasha, checking on Maya, who's hiding with a cousin, but a news alert shatters her triumph. Clara, her mother, has been framed for embezzling mall funds, arrested and hospitalized after collapsing under police custody, now under guard at Mercy General. Elise's knees buckle, the phone slipping. Clara, who taught, heard a code on a secondhand laptop, is Hargrove's latest target, his retaliation slicing deeper than ever. The report, laced with Klein's quotes, paints Clara as a greedy opportunist, the racial undertone screaming through questionable finances. Elise grabs a hoodie, her wound from the market chase throbbing, and takes a cab to the hospital, its neon sign a beacon in the dusk. She slips through a side entrance, the antiseptic stench hitting her, and poses as a nurse, her stolen scrubs stiff. Clara's room is on the 5th floor, guarded by 2 cops, their radios crackling with slurs about Warrick's clan. Elise's throat burns, but she finds a janitor's cart, hiding the USB in its folds, and wheels it past, her pulse hammering. Clara lies pale, an IV dripping, her eyes fluttering as Elise whispers, "I'm here, Mom." But a guard spots her, his shout triggering an alarm, red lights flashing. The hospital locks down, steel shutters slamming, and Elise bolts, shoving the cart to block the cops. She dives into a ventilation shaft, its metal icy, crawling through dust-choked darkness, the USB secure in her pocket. Below, boots pound, and a sniper's laser dots the shaft's exit, a bullet grazing the grill as she tumbles out, landing in a dumpster, its filth softening her fall. She sprints through an alley, sirens wailing, her lungs searing as she dodges a police cruiser, its spotlight missing her by inches. The city's chaos, her broadcast's aftermath, cloaks her escape, but Clara's frail face haunts her. Hargrove's, cruelty a blade twisting in her gut. she reaches a new safe house, a mechanic's garage reeking of oil, where Tasha waits, her eyes wide with worry. Elise collapses, the USB intact, but her coders report Hargrove's team scrubbing the accounts, his fixers erasing traces. The riots, though fierce, haven't toppled him and his allies rally. Klein's council meeting now a referendum on Elise's dangerous influence. She thinks of Jamal, beaten, and Clara, caged, their sacrifices fueling her rage. The hospital. Lockdown was a trap, Hargrove's way of drawing her out, his racism turning her family into pawns. She recalls her first boardroom when a rival sneered, "You're not one of us." And she outmaneuvered him, her app going viral. Now she plans her next move, sketching a way to leak the USB's raw data. But Malik warns of mercenaries torching, vendor stalls at the mall, their graffiti spelling slurs. Elise's hands shake, the garage's clang of tools grounding her, and she texts Lila, urging a deeper hack. The city's anger is her shield, but Hargrove's counterattack, framing. Clara has shattered her momentum, the hospital's alarm still ringing in her ears. She bandages her grazed arm, the pain sharp, and stares at the USB, its secrets her only hope. The council's vote is tonight, and without permits, her vendors lose everything. She thinks of the rally's broken stalls, the gala's applause, each victory stolen by Hargrove's system, its racism a hydra growing new heads. Elise vows to save Clara, Jamal, Maya, the mall. But a creak outside the garage door snaps her alert, her breath catching as she wonders if Hargrove's men have tracked her again. Elise Warrick huddles in the mechanic's garage, the oil-soaked air thick, her grazed arm throbbing as the USB drive's secrets pulse in her pocket. Clara's hospitalization a fresh wound in her heart. The city riots from her TV hack rage. Beyond, but Hargrove's mercenaries circle closer, their graffiti slurs torching her mall's spirit. She texts Lila, the journalist, to leak the USB's raw data, hoping to outpace the council's vote to kill her permits. A knock at the garage, door sharp and urgent, pulls her from her laptop's glow. Tasha vouches for the visitor, a community organizer named Derek, who claims to have dirt on Klein's campaign, a way to sway the council. His earnest eyes and dog-eared notebook filled with voter testimonies convince Elise to trust him. Her, guard lowered after Vanessa's betrayal. Derek suggests a meet at a nearby diner, neutral ground, to share his files. Elise, desperate to save Clara, Maya, and Jamal, agrees, slipping out under a starless sky, the city's chaos, a distant roar. The diner's neon buzzes, its vinyl booths sticky, the scent of burnt coffee grounding her. Derek slides her a folder, detailing Klein's bribes, but his phone buzzes, and his glance darts to the window. Elise's gut twists. The folder feels too perfect, the timing too neat. Before she can bolt, the diner's doors slam open, and Hargrove's mercenaries storm in, their boots scuffing linoleum, one snarling a racial slur that cuts like glass. Derek vanishes, his betrayal a cold slap, leaving Elise cornered. She hurls a coffee pot, shattering it to slow them, and sprints for the kitchen. But a mercenary grabs her, his grip iron slamming her against a counter. Pain explodes in her ribs, the USB slipping but caught in her sleeve. They drag her to a black van, its engine idling, and blindfold her, the fabric reeking of sweat. The drive is endless, tires humming over asphalt, her mind racing to Clara's pale face, Jamal's bloodied one. The van stops, and she's shoved into a secret warehouse, its air damp with rust, chains clanking as they bind her to a metal chair. The blindfold rips off and Leonard Hargrove looms, his silver hair stark under a bare bulb, his smile venomous. "You thought you'd win?" he spits, his voice laced with contempt, the word "you" heavy with racial venom. He's broadcasting live, a camera's red light blinking, her bruised face beamed to millions, a spectacle to break her. Hargrove's men douse her with icy water, her jumpsuit clinging, and crank a generator, its hum ominous. They shock her, volts searing her nerves, her scream swallowed by the warehouse's void. Starving, her stomach gnawing after days without food, Elise's vision blurs, but she clings to defiance, her mother's voice echoing, "Never let them dim you." Between shocks, Hargrove rants, his arrogance spilling. He's rigging the city election. buying votes to install Klein as mayor, ensuring his racist policies endure. Elise, trembling, memorizes every word, her mind a steel trap despite the pain. The broadcast taunts her. Your kind never wins. The slur a whip, but she spots a rusted nail on the floor, inches from her bound hands. While Hargrove paces, his men distracted, she scrapes it, carving "I fight" into the concrete, each letter a vow. The act steadies her, the nail's edge biting her palm, blood mixing with dust. Hargrove, oblivious, leans close, his cologne choking, and promises to kill her once she breaks. His plan to bury them all complete. Elise's body screams, her ribs cracked, but she locks eyes with the camera, her glare a silent rebellion, knowing millions see her unbowed. The warehouse's walls, streaked with mold, seem to close in, the generators hum a heartbeat. She thinks of the mall's vendors, their shattered stalls, and Maya, hiding, Clara, caged, Jamal, beaten, their faces fueling her. Hargrove's torture is systemic, his racism a machine grinding her down, from Dempsey's slur to the forged fraud, each blow calculated to erase her power. She recalls her first patent, filed against sneers that "tech's not for you," and how she outsmarted them, her code rewriting markets. Now chained, she's outsmarting Hargrove, his rant her weapon if she survives. The broadcast loops, her pain a public crucifixion, and Hargrove's men tighten her chains, her wrists. Roll. He signals for a final shock, the voltage lethal. But Elise's carved message anchors her, its defiance louder than her screams. She thinks of the council's vote, hours away, and the USB, hidden in her sleeve, its data her last hope. Malik's warnings, Lila's hack, Tasha's loyalty, all flicker as her vision dims. The warehouse's chill seeping into her bones. Hargrove's election plan, if enacted, will cement his grip. Klein's mayoralty a death knell for her mall, her people. Elise's breath catches, the nail slick with blood, and she vows to expose him, even as the generator whines, its power surging. A distant clang, maybe a door, stirs her. But Hargrove's smirk promises death, his racism a noose she's fought all her life. She grips the nail, her carved words a beacon, and wonders if this warehouse will be her end, or if someone, anyone, is coming. Elise Warrick slumps in the warehouse's metal chair, her wrists raw from chains, the carved words "I fight" beneath her feet, a faint pulse against Hargrove's torture. His election-rigging rant seared into her memory as the generator's whine signals her end. Clara's frailty, Maya's peril, and Jamal's beating weigh like stones. The USB in her sleeve her only hope. Its secret's useless if she dies. The warehouse's moldy air chokes her. Hargrove's broadcast camera glaring, its red light a mocking "I." A sudden clang echoes, not the generator but a door and footsteps, deliberate, cut through the mercenaries' chatter. Hargrove's smirk falters as a figure emerges from the shadows, a broad-shouldered man in a security uniform, his badge glinting. Marcus, the guard who watched Dempsey drag Elise months ago. His silence then a regret he's carried. Enough. Marcus growls, his voice low, and he tasers a mercenary, the man crumpling like paper. Hargrove bolts for a side exit, but Marcus frees Elise, slicing her chains with a bolt cutter, his hand steady despite the chaos. Her body screams, ribs cracked, but she stumbles to her feet, the USB secure, and follows Marcus to Hargrove's office, a glass-walled nook cluttered with files. They grab his laptop, its screen flashing with emails linking Hargrove to a national hate group, their manifestos dripping with slurs, funding his voter suppression schemes. Elise's blood boils. This is the heart of his empire, the racism fueling her torment. Alarms blare, mercenaries converging, their boots pounding like war drums. Marcus shoves the laptop into her arms, pointing to a fire escape, its rusted ladder swaying in the night. "Go," he urges, his eyes fierce, but Elise hesitates, the weight of his risk sinking in. Gunfire erupts, bullets pinging off steel, and Marcus fires back, his pistol a desperate shield. Elise climbs, the ladder creaking, her wounded arm searing as she clutches the laptop. She reaches the roof, the city's skyline a jagged promise. But below, Marcus is overrun, mercenaries dragging him down, his shout of "Run!" echoing. Elise's heart lurches. He's sacrificing himself for her, a stranger turned savior. She slides down a drainage pipe, landing in a trash-strewn alley, the laptop intact, her breath ragged. Sirens wail, the warehouse now a blaze of floodlights, and Elise sprints, weaving through backstreets, the USB and laptop her lifelines. She ducks into a shuttered pawn shop, its dusty counters a refuge, and boots the laptop, her coder's encrypted link buzzing. The hate group's emails detail Hargrove's plan to rig the election, Klein's mayoralty a stepping stone to national influence, their slurs a chilling echo of Dempsey's. But a news alert flashes. Hargrove's broadcasting again. Maya's face on screen, her wrists bound, a warehouse backdrop chillingly familiar. "Elise, come to me or she dies," Hargrove sneers, his voice ablade, the racial dog whistle in Your Family cutting deep. He leaks Maya's location, a dockside factory, a trap Elise can't ignore. Her hands shake, the pawn shops. Silence deafening, and she thinks of Marcus, his sacrifice, and Clara, hospitalized, their lives tangled in Hargrove's web. The city's riots, sparked by her TV hack, roar beyond, but Hargrove's hate group ties make her fight bigger. A war against a system that sees her as less. She recalls her first tech demo when a crowd jeered, assuming she'd crash, and how she silenced them, her code flawless. Now she must outsmart Hargrove, his trap a maze of death. She texts Tasha, arranging a drop-off for the laptop, her coders, tasked with leaking the emails, but Maya's peril demands she act now. The pawn shop's back door creaks and Elise slips out, the dockside salt air looming. Her ribs ache, the torture's scars pulsing, but Marcus's voice, "Run," drives her. She flags a cab, its driver oblivious to her jumpsuit stains, and heads toward the docks, the laptop hidden in a stolen bag. Hargrove's broadcast was a taunt, turning Maya into bait, his racism a weapon to crush Elise's spirit. She thinks of the mall's vendors, their dreams her anchor, and Jamal, beaten, his USB her spark, the council's vote, Clara's frame, Maya's kidnapping. Each blow is Hargrove's system, its prejudice a hydra she's battled since Dempsey's slur. She checks the laptop, its battery low, and saves the emails, her coders confirming receipt. Malik texts, warning of mercenaries at the mall, their fires spreading. Elise's chest tightens, Marcus's face flashing, his sacrifice a debt she can't repay. The cab nears the docks, cranes looming like gallows, and she plans her approach, knowing Hargrove's waiting. The factory's silhouette grows, its windows dark, and Elise grips the USB, its data her edge, but Maya's life her priority. She steps out, the cab's taillights fading, and creeps toward the factory, her pulse a drumbeat. Hargrove's trap is set, his hate group's shadow lengthening, and Elise wonders if she can save Maya without losing herself. A rustle in them, dark snaps her alert, her hand on the USB, Marcus's courage her shield, and she prays she's not too late. Drop a comment with #1 if you've ever lost someone who stood up for you, and hit like and subscribe to follow Elise's battle. Can she outwit Hargrove's deadly trap to save Maya, or will his hate group's power overwhelm her fight? Elise Warrick crouches in the dockside shadows, the factory's dark windows glaring. Maya's life a heartbeat away as Hargrove's trap looms, the laptop and USB in her stolen bag heavy with his hate group's secrets. Marcus's sacrifice, Clara's hospitalization, and Jamal's beating sear her soul. The city's riots a distant roar against Hargrove's election-rigging plan. She slips away from the docks, her breath fogging in the salty air, choosing strategy over a suicide mission, and rendezvous with Tasha at a derelict pier, its splintered boards creaking underfoot. Tasha's eyes, red from worry, soften as Elise hands over the laptop, her coders ready to leak its data. Back at a new safe house, a cluttered attic above a jazz club, the saxophone's wail masking her moves, Elise watches the upload. Hargrove's, emails exposing his funding of a national hate group, their slurs and voter suppression plots laid bare. By dawn, the leak hits, the city pulse blasting Hargrove's racist network unveiled, and federal agents raid his offices, their helicopters chopping the skyline, handcuffs glinting on his lieutenants. Social media erupts, hashtags like Dasein, End Hargrove trending, and the mall's value soars, investors flooding Elise's inbox with offers, her minority business fund doubling overnight. She feels a surge of triumph, her vendor's dreams reborn, and Maya, still hiding, texts a heart emoji, a flicker of hope. Elise, battered but unbowed, plans a press event at the mall to reclaim her narrative, coordinating with Malik to secure the atrium, its glass domes sparkling under morning light. The council's vote, delayed by the raids, hangs in the balance, but public pressure mounts, Klein's allies wavering. Elise dons a tailored blazer, her ribs aching from the warehouse, and steps onto a podium, the crowd a sea of supporters, cameras flashing, live streams beaming her defiance. She speaks of the mall's mission, honoring Marcus, Clara, and Jamal, her voice steady, exposing Hargrove's hate group as the root of her torment, from Dempsey's slur to the forged fraud. The applause is deafening, vendors cheering, their stalls rebuilt with fresh paint, and a tech titan pledges $20 million sealing her victory. Elise's heart swells, the mall's chandeliers glowing like stars, and she believes for a moment she's won. But as she raises a hand to thank the crowd, a low rumble shakes the floor, a vibration that's not applause. The parking garage below explodes, a fireball roaring, glass shattering like 1,000 screams, the blast hurling Elise to the ground, her blazer singed. Smoke chokes the atrium, screams piercing the haze, and Elise crawls, her ears ringing, blood trickling from a gash on her brow. Dozens lie injured, vendors clutching wounds, a child's shoe abandoned in the chaos. Malik pulls her to safety, his face grim, shouting, "Bomb!" through the din. Elise's mind reels. Hargrove, cornered, struck back, his cruelty boundless. News vans swarm, and screens flash Hargrove's statement, his silver hair pristine, calling the blast Warrick's terrorist plot, framing her as a radical who staged it for sympathy. The lie, laced with racial venom, paints her as a danger, the hate group's slurs echoing in her kind. Elise, coughing through smoke, knows the bomb was his, planted to bury her triumph. The federal raid's a spark he couldn't douse. Her phone buzzes with alerts. The council, spooked, fast-tracks the permit vote, Klein's allies rallying behind Hargrove's narrative. The injured, carted to ambulances, include a vendor Elise mentored, her scarf bloodied, and guilt crashes over her, heavier than the debris. She thinks of Maya, trapped, and Clara, guarded, their lives pawns in Hargrove's game. The atrium, once a beacon, is a war zone, its domes cracked, and Elise's empire teeters. Malik guides her to a service exit, the same tunnel from the rally, its damp walls a grim déjà vu. She emerges in a backlot, her vision blurry, the gash stinging, and flags a cab, its driver muttering about that mall lunatic, the slur in his tone a knife. Elise directs him to Tasha's cousin's flat, a brick tenement far from the mall's glitter, her body trembling from shock. The cab's radio spews Hargrove's lies, callers branding her a terrorist, the city's hate a tidal wave. She recalls her first app launch when a glitch nearly sank her, and how she debugged it under fire, proving the doubters wrong. Now she must debug Hargrove's system, its racism a code she's fought since Dempsey's grip. At the flat, Tasha bandages her gash, her silence a balm, and Elise checks the USB, its data backed up by her coders, who trace the bomb to Hargrove's fixer, a shadow she can't yet name. Malik reports mercenaries looting the mall, their fires spreading, and Elise's chest tightens, the vendor's scarf flashing in her mind. The federal raids cracked Hargrove's armor, but his bomb, a terrorist label, has reframed her as the villain, the racism in his narrative a noose. She plans to counter, leaking the fixer's trace, but the council's vote looms, and Maya's fate, Clara's, Jamal's, hang in the balance. The flat's radiator clanks, grounding her, and Elise vows to fight. The USB her weapon, the mall her heart. But as she strategizes, a flicker outside the window, a shadow moving, snaps her alert, her pulse racing as she wonders if Hargrove's men have found her again. Elise Warrick huddles in Tasha's cousin's flat, the radiators clank a faint shield against the city's hate. Her brows gash throbbing as Hargrove's bomb frames her as a terrorist. The mall's atrium, a smoldering ruin. Maya's kidnapping, a knife in her heart. The USB and laptop data, backed up by her coders, burn with Hargrove's hate group ties, But the council's vote looms, and Clara's hospital bed, Jamal's captivity, and the injured vendors weigh like chains. Tasha's bandage steadies her, but a shadow outside the window spurs her to move. Her coders trace Hargrove's broadcast signal to a private yacht at the city's marina, Maya's prison, a trap Elise can't ignore. She slips out, the tenement's stairwell damp with mildew, and flags a cab, its leather seats cracked. The driver humming, unaware of her mission. The marina glitters, yachts bobbing under moonlight, their decks alive with wealth's arrogance, a stark contrast to the mall's shattered dreams. Elise, in a borrowed hoodie, her ribs aching from the warehouse, creeps along the docks, the USB in her pocket, a burner phone her only link to her coders. Hargrove's yacht, a sleek beast named Titan, looms at the pier's end, its hull gleaming, guarded by mercenaries in tailored suits, their radios crackling. Elise spots Maya through a porthole, her sister's wrists bound, her face defiant. Despite fear, and Elise's resolve hardens, Marcus's sacrifice flashing in her mind. She climbs a mooring rope, its fibers cutting her palms, and slips aboard, the deck slick with sea spray. A guard patrols, his flashlight sweeping, and Elise ducks behind a lifeboat, her breath shallow, the yacht's engine humming below. She finds a service hatch, its hinges rusted, and crawls through, emerging in a corridor lined with mahogany, the air thick with cigar smoke. Voices echo, Hargrove's among them, his tone venomous, railing about her kind ruining his city, the slur a whip she's heard since Dempsey's grip. Elise records with her burner, its battery low, capturing his rant. He admits to the bomb, the hate group, the election rigging. His words a confession of systemic racism, each syllable a nail in his empire. She live streams to her coders who broadcast it globally, the feed hitting millions, hashtags like Leonard Hargrove confessed surging. But a guard spots her, his shout shattering the quiet, and Elise bolts, kicking a fire extinguisher to slow him, its foam spraying. She reaches the main deck where Hargrove stands, Maya at his side, a pistol to her temple, his silver hair wild in the wind. "You're done," he snarls, the racial taunt, "you'll never belong," cutting deeper than the gun's threat. Elise drops the phone, its livestream running, and lunges, disarming a guard with a knee to his gut, his rifle clattering. She grabs it, firing at another, the shot sparking off railings, and dives behind a bar, glass bottles exploding. Maya twists free, elbowing Hargrove, and Elise tackles him, her ribs screaming, pinning his arm, the pistol skidding. The live stream captures it all, her voice shouting, "He's the terrorist!" As millions watch, the city's riots swelling in response. Protesters, fueled by the feed, storm the docks, their chants a tidal wave, blocking the marina's exits, their signs demanding justice. Hargrove's mercenaries hesitate, outnumbered, and Elise ties his hands with a cable, her strength fading, Maya sobbing beside her. But Hargrove, unbowed, pulls a hidden knife, slashing Elise's side, the pain a white-hot blaze, his sneer vicious. "You'll always be nothing." She staggers, blood soaking her hoodie, but shoves him down, the protesters' floodlights blinding him as police, forced by the crowd, cuff him. Elise collapses, Maya catching her, the yacht's deck cold, her vision blurring. The livestream loops, Hargrove's confession a global fire, his arrest a hard-won victory, but Elise's wound pulses, her life seeping out. She thinks of Clara, guarded, Jamal, beaten, the mall's vendors, their trust her anchor. The protesters' cheers, a sea of raised fists, drown the sirens, and Elise clings to Maya, her sister's warmth a lifeline. Hargrove's system, its racism a hydra, fought her from Dempsey's slur to this knife, but she's exposed him, her live stream a sword. She recalls her first venture pitch, when a banker scoffed, "No one invests in you," and how she proved him wrong, her empire built on grit. Now, bleeding, she's proved Hargrove wrong. But the cost, Marcus's life, the bomb's victims, Clara's pain, weighs heavy. Malik's voice crackles through a protester's radio, reporting the mall's safety, and Elise's coders confirm the feed's reach, billions watching. The council's vote, swayed by outrage, may spare her permits, but Hargrove's knife, his final racist jab, leaves her weak. Maya's tears wet her cheek, and Elise whispers, "We're not done." Her defiance unbroken, even as medics rush the deck, their kits clanking. The yacht's lights fade, the city's skyline a jagged hope, and Elise wonders if this victory, blood-soaked and incomplete, will hold, or if Hargrove's allies are already plotting their next move. Elise Warrick lies in a hospital bed, the antiseptic stench sharp, her side bandaged where Hargrove's knife struck, Maya's hand gripping hers as the yacht's chaos fades. The live-streamed confession a fleeting triumph now dimmed by pain. Medics saved her. The protesters' cheers a distant echo. But Clara's hospital prison, Jamal's captivity, and the mall's wounded vendors haunt her. Hargrove's racist taunt, "You'll never belong," a scar deeper than the wound. Her coders report the confession feed reached billions. The council's vote paused and Malik guards the mall, but a TV in the ward flickers with breaking news. Hargrove's allies, led by Councilwoman Klein, have destroyed the confession footage, claiming it was tampered, securing his release on a technicality. Elise's heart sinks. The screen showing Hargrove exiting jail, his silver hair gleaming, a smirk twisting his lips as he calls her a fabricator. The racial venom in her kind, reigniting the city's hate. Nurses whisper, their glances cold, and Elise feels the fugitive's weight again, her victory ashes. Maya's eyes, red from tears, beg her to rest. But a doctor, pressured by Klein's office, orders her discharge, citing security risks. Elise, weak but defiant, slips out with Maya, dodging reporters, their cameras flashing like vultures. They reach a safe house, a crumbling motel with peeling wallpaper, its neon sign buzzing faintly. Tasha meets them, her nurse's scrubs swapped for a hoodie, and reports the city's council, now Hargrove's puppet, has seized the mall, citing terrorist ties from the bombing. The vendors evicted, their stalls boarded up. Elise's chest tightens, the atrium's shattered domes flashing in her mind. The vendor's bloodied scarf a ghost. Her phone buzzes with a coded message from Lila, the journalist, directing her to a resistance network, activists who've fought Hargrove's system for years. Elise, limping, follows the lead, Maya supporting her, and they arrive at a basement beneath a shuttered bakery, its air thick with flour dust. The network, led by a wiry woman named Zara, offers shelter. There, faces a mosaic of defiance, from ex-cops to hacktivists, all targeted by Hargrove's racism. Zara reveals they've tracked his fixer, a shadow who erased the footage and have a plan to expose Klein's bribes. But it requires Elise's USB data, still safe with her coders. Elise nods, her wound aching, and shares Hargrove's election rigging rant memorized in the warehouse, the network's eyes widening at its scope. They outfit her with a burner phone, its signal scrambled, and a safe route to a new hideout. But as she syncs with her coders, a news alert chills her. Hargrove's mercenaries have burned her childhood home, the clapboard house where Clara taught her to code, reduced to embers, a taunting message spray-painted on the ruins. "I own this city." Elise's knees buckle, Maya catching her, the loss a blade twisting. Hargrove's cruelty a personal strike, his racism torching her past to break her future. The network's monitors show rioters clashing with police, the city fracturing, and Elise feels the weight of Marcus's sacrifice, Jamal's pain, Clara's chains, all for a fight Hargrove's system refuses to lose. She thinks of her first investor meeting when a suit scoffed, "You're no mogul," and how she built a billion-dollar empire, defying their bias. Now, a fugitive, she must rebuild her fight, the USB her spark, the network her army. Zara's team traces the fixer's digital footprint, linking him to Klein's campaign. And Elise plans a leak, her fingers trembling on the burner phone, its screen cracked but alive. Malik texts, warning of mercenaries looting the mall, their slurs carved into its walls, and Elise's rage surges. The vendor's dreams her fuel. The safe house's basement hums with printers, the network forging fake IDs to move her. But the city's hate, fueled by Hargrove's release, is a storm closing in. Elise recalls the gala's applause, the rally's chants, each victory stolen by Hargrove's machine, its racism a hydra she's battled since Dempsey's grip. She checks on Clara, still guarded, and Jamal, whose fate is unknown, their lives pawns in Hargrove's game. The motel's window rattles, wind howling, and Elise strategizes. The networks plan her lifeline, but Hargrove's arson, a message of dominance, shakes her. She thinks of the mall's vendors, their stalls now ash, and vows to reclaim it, her jaw set. The network's radios crackle, reporting Klein's council meeting resuming. The permit vote a death knell, and Elise knows time's slipping. She slips the USB into a hidden pocket, its data her edge, and follows Zara to a new hideout. A loft above a pawn shop, its creaky floorboards a stark contrast to the mall's marble. The city's skyline, visible through a cracked window, mocks, her Hargrove's empire still standing. Elise's wound pulses, her strength fading, but she plans, her coders prepping the leak, Lila's channels ready. The arson's embers burn in her mind. Hargrove's taunt a challenge she'll answer, her fight unbroken despite the fugitive's shadow. A creak on the stairs snaps her alert, her hand on the burner phone, and she wonders if Hargrove's men, or the city's hate, have found her again. Elise Warrick stands in the pawn shop loft, the creaky floorboards cold beneath her, the city's skyline a taunting glow through the cracked window, her childhood home's ashes and Hargrove's release a fresh wound atop Maya's peril, Clara's captivity, and the mall's seizure. The USB's data, safe with her coders, pulses with Hargrove's hate group ties, and the Resistance Network's plan, led by Zara, fuels her resolve, despite the fugitive's shadow and her throbbing knife wound. She sinks with Lila, the journalist, who's leaked Klein's bribe records, swaying the council's vote. And Malik reports vendors rallying, their stalls barricaded against mercenaries. Elise, her hoodie stained with sweat, slips out with Zara's team, their fake IDs shielding her as they organize a march to reclaim the mall. A peaceful stand to force justice. Dawn breaks, and the city pulses, thousands gathering at Crystal Heights steps, their banners vibrant with equality lives, the air electric with drums and chants. Elise, bandaged but unbowed, steps onto a makeshift stage, the mall's shattered domes behind her, a testament to Hargrove's bomb. Her speech, live-streamed by Lila, rings out, recounting Dempsey's slur, the forged fraud, the warehouse torture, and Hargrove's racist empire, her voice a blade cutting through the crowd's silence. "This mall is ours," she declares, honoring Marcus's sacrifice, Clara's strength, Jamal's courage, and the vendor's dreams, each name a spark igniting cheers. The march swells, a river of raised fists shutting down streets, police hesitating as federal agents, pressured by global outrage over the leaked hate group emails, descend on Hargrove's penthouse, cuffing him mid-broadcast, his silver hair disheveled, his sneer gone. Elise's heart surges. The mall's gates reopened, vendors rushing to rebuild, their laughter a melody over broken glass. She unveils a renovated atrium, its new murals celebrating equality, funded by billions in global investments, tech giants and philanthropists pledging support. The mall now a hub for Black, Latino, and Asian businesses, its value soaring past Hargrove's wildest dreams. Maya, freed by the feds, joins her bookstore plans revived, and Clara, released from the hospital, grips Elise's hand, her eyes proud. The livestream hits billions, hashtags like Mall for All trending, Elise's speech a global call against systemic racism, from voter suppression to redlining, her fight a beacon. She thinks of her first algorithm, coded against skeptics who sneered, "You're not enough," and how she rewrote their rules, her empire built on grit. Now she's rewritten Hargrove's his rearrest a victory, the city's hate drowned by unity. But as she cuts a ribbon for the mall's relaunch, a vendor slips her a cryptic letter, its wax seal unmarked, the words chilling. "Hargrove was our pawn, the syndicate watches." Elise's breath catches, the loft's shadows flashing in. Her mind, the realization dawning that Hargrove's hate group was a cog in a national machine. Its racism deeper, its reach vaster. The crowd roars, unaware, and Elise tucks the letter away, her wound aching, Maya's smile grounding her. The mall's domes gleam, a new mural of Marcus towering, but the syndicate's threat looms, a battle beyond Hargrove's defeat. Elise recalls the yacht's fight, the knife's sting, and how she outsmarted Hargrove's system. It slurs a hydra she's faced since Dempsey's grip. Now a bigger hydra stirs, and she vows to fight it. Her coders already tracing the letter's origin, Lila prepping a new leak, Malik fortifying the mall. The vendors' stalls buzz, a jeweler crafting a pendant for Clara, a baker offering Elise a warm empanada, their trust her anchor. The city's skyline, once a taunt, now sparkles with possibility, but the letter's words, "We watch," echo, a reminder that racism's roots run deep. Elise steps off the stage, Maya and Clara at her side, and faces the crowd. Their faces, a mosaic of hope, from kids to elders, all believing in her. The mall's revenue spikes, global investors calling, and Elise plans a tech incubator, her vision unbroken. But the syndicate's shadow, its unseen power, chills her, and she wonders if Jamal's still missing holds a clue. The march's drums fade, the city breathing easier, but Elise's fight, born in a boutique's humiliation, is far from over. She grips the USB, its data her sword, and scans the crowd, searching for a syndicate spy, her pulse steady despite the threat. The mall's lights blaze, a beacon against hate, and Elise, scarred but fierce, knows this victory, though massive, is a beginning. The syndicate's web her next challenge. It's racism, a fight she'll never quit. The story of Elise Warrick and security guard drags black woman out of store, then she buys them all, delivers profound lessons about resilience, systemic racism, and the power of community. First, Elise's journey teaches us that individual strength can challenge oppressive systems. Despite relentless racial injustices, from public humiliation to torture, she transforms pain into purpose, reclaiming the mall as a beacon of equality. Her defiance against Hargrove's hate group shows that courage, rooted in personal conviction, can spark change, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Second, the narrative exposes the insidious nature of systemic racism. Hargrove's schemes, from doctored footage to election rigging, reveal how prejudice operates through institutions, media, and power structures, targeting Elise's identity to discredit her wealth and vision. This underscores the need to recognize and dismantle these systems, not just their figureheads, as the syndicate's shadow hints at deeper battles. Finally, the story highlights the strength of collective action. Elise's march, fueled by vendors, protesters, and allies like Marcus and Zara, proves that unity can topple tyrants. Her global speech, inspiring billions, reminds us that shared voices amplify justice, turning personal fights into movements. These lessons urge us to confront racism head-on, support marginalized communities, and build inclusive spaces like Elise's Mall. Her story isn't just a triumph, it's a call to action, warning that victories are fragile without vigilance against lurking threats like the syndicate. What's a moment when you stood up against injustice, big or small? Drop a comment, hit like, subscribe, and share to spread Elise's fight. Thank you for joining this journey. Here's to building a world where equality shines brighter than hate.